Okay, welcome to part 20 of Judaism influenced Zoroastrianism, and today we're going to talk about King Cyrus and the god Ahura Mazda. We want to talk about the Cyrus Cylinder. We want to talk about the propaganda surrounding the Cyrus Cylinder and the fake translation that was circulated about the Cyrus Cylinder. This is in regard to the god's name Ahura Mazda being attributed as to something that came out of the mouth of King Cyrus, which it did not. And so you want to study the matter yourself. Go ahead, study it yourself. You will find that King Cyrus did not worship the god Ahura Mazda. Did not worship the god Ahura Mazda. In fact, the highest god that he worshipped was the god Marduk. And we see that in the correct translation of the Cyrus Cylinder. Marduk, who is a Babylonian god. Basically, there was some propaganda in 1971. The cylinder was basically part of imperial propaganda of Shah Muhammad Reza Pahlavi. And he was using it as a celebration of what he called the 2500th anniversary of Persian monarchy. A copy was given to the United Nations. The Shah tried to prove that the secular Iran with religious freedom that he wanted to promote had existed before. And basically the cylinder has been called the world's human rights charter. You know what's so funny about this is, you know, when I was going to grade school, this is what I learned in the textbooks, that that Cyrus was, you know, the first person to come up with a world human rights charter. And this is what I learned in the history books when I was in school, because 1971, that was like right before I got into, like, you know, into like the middle school area. And so this had already been put into our history books. And that's what I'm saying here, folks, is you can't believe everything you read in school. Do you know how much propaganda that they put into these history books just because it's politically correct? Well, you know, come to find out now, we know that that it was not such a document. And besides the fact that King Cyrus was pretty much like all the other kings, you know, waging wars and you know, bending the people to his will. Besides that fact, the translation given, which was that he is acknowledging the god Ahura Mazda, isn't even a correct translation. It's the god's name is never in the text itself, you know. So the piece of propaganda which was given to the United Nations was this little statement here, which states, "I announce that I will respect the traditions, customs, and religions of the nations of my empire, and never let any of my governors and subordinates look down or insult them as long as I shall live. From now on, while Ahura Mazda lets me rule, I will impose my monarchy on no nation. Each is free to accept it, and if any one of them rejects it, I shall never resolve on war to reign." So basically, the correct translation, and I'll post some links for you, is something akin to this. My vast armies marched into Babylon in peace. I did not permit anyone to frighten the people of Sumer and Akkad, I sought the welfare of the city of Babylon and all its sacred sinners. As for the citizens of Babylon upon whom he imposed a corvée which was not the God's wish and not befitting them, I relieved their weariness and freed them from their service. Marduk, the great Lord, rejoiced over my good deeds. He sent gracious blessing upon me, Cyrus, the king who worships him, and upon Camses, the son who is my offspring, and upon all my army, and in peace before him we moved around in friendship. And it goes on here. And, you know, you want to study the matter yourself. But I'm telling you that we have no historical document that connects the name of the god Ahura Mazda with Cyrus the Great. Now, why is that a big deal? I make it a big deal because this is one of the main things. Well, it's not one of the main things, but it's a major point that a lot of people try to make in arguing that Zoroastrianism influenced Judaism in regard to let's say monotheism. Let's just pick a religious notion, because we could get into like a lot of other religious doctrines that are attributed to Zoroastrianism. But just in regard to monotheism, why do I make this a big point? Because the claim is made that during the captivity of the Jews in Babylon, that was during the time of Cyrus the Great, this king, who supposedly was worshiping the god Ahura Mazda, but turns out he's worshiping the god Marduk, as well as all of the other Babylonian gods. And so we see a king that is pretty much polytheistic. And even if he isn't even religious and he's just using rhetoric and political speak to acknowledge, you know, the gods of, you know, of his country, the point being is that he's not acknowledging Ahura Mazda. So and I also think the other major point being that he's acknowledging all of the gods. You know, this is a very polytheistic idea. So, you know, tell me how this is influencing Judaism to become monotheistic. You know, and these are the facts here, folks. These are the facts. You know, so I go ahead. You know, you can still believe the propaganda if you want to, but I'm going to put the links in the description, and I encourage you to study the matter yourself. There's no way that we could that you can attach that God's name, which is the main god of Mazdaism, the main god of Zoroastrianism, to Cyrus the Great. You know, and for that matter, how could you even show that Zoroastrianism was even an influence at all during this time? I mean, all it is scholarly speculation, folks. And as I've said before, there's nothing wrong with speculation as long as you call it speculation. And like I said, I speculate all the time. But I think I have better speculations and better reasons for believing that Judaism was more of an influence on Zoroastrianism. And I don't think that there was very much that there's not a lot of facts, in my opinion, leaning towards Zoroastrianism influencing Judaism at all. So, as you know, I said before, God bless you all. Keep seeking truth. I look forward to my next video.